Married for 33 years, my wife and I built a life filled with love, devotion, and memories. I'm 55, as is she, and together we've raised 2 children and have been blessed with 2 beautiful grandchildren. They are our world, and we've always cherished the family we built. Our story began in the 80s at a nightclub where I worked as a bouncer. After one date, we were inseparable. Within 2 months, we moved in together, and 2 years later, we were married. We thought our love would last forever, through thick and thin, for better or worse. For much of our marriage, we lived a good life. We worked hard, played hard, and found joy in raising our children. However, as life evolved, so did my body. After transitioning from an active job to a sedentary desk job due to an injury during military training, I gained significant weight. My health declined, and it affected every aspect of my life, including our intimacy. Our sex life dwindled, and I struggled with insecurity. My wife and I tried to reignite the spark over the years, but the bedroom remained cold for nearly 2 decades. Despite this, we always remained monogamous, a vow that was non-negotiable for us. Having been cheated on in the past, infidelity was a boundary neither of us would ever cross. Or so I thought. 2 years ago, I made a life-changing decision. For my health, my grandchildren, and to rekindle the passion in my marriage, I committed to losing weight. Over 2 years, I shed 80 kilograms, 176 pounds, and underwent a tummy tuck. It wasn't just about vanity. It was about reclaiming my life. My transformation breathed new life into our marriage. For the past 2 years, our sex life flourished. We went from almost nothing to 3 or 4 times a week, and it felt like we were rediscovering each other. My wife seemed genuinely happy, and I never doubted her love. She occasionally expressed insecurities about her weight and how I was receiving more attention from women, but I always reassured her. To me, she was perfect, and I made sure she knew it. Our love felt stronger than ever, until 3 days ago. My wife had gone on a holiday with her 2 sisters. I fully supported the trip, trusting her completely as I always had. We shared everything, passwords, locations, not out of distrust, but for safety and transparency. I had no reason to doubt her, nor did she ever give me one. But that trust shattered with a single phone call. On my way home from work, my phone rang. It was her, sobbing, her voice trembling as she asked if her sister had spoken to me. Confused, I asked what was wrong, completely unprepared for what she would say next. She confessed that she had cheated. She was crying hysterically, apologizing over and over, saying she didn't know what had come over her. She told me she had gone out drinking with her sisters when a married couple joined them. After her sisters left, she stayed with the couple, continuing to drink in their room. She claimed the couple complimented her, calling her sexy and saying I was a lucky man. One thing led to another, and she slept with a husband while the wife watched. She said she felt like she was outside her own body, detached from reality. When she woke up in bed with them, shame and panic overwhelmed her. She ran back to her room, where her sister confronted her, having figured out what happened. Her sister insisted she tell me the truth, or she would. That's when she called me, sobbing uncontrollably and begging for forgiveness. But forgiveness felt impossible in that moment. I was numb. I told her she didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. Then I hung up and turned off my phone. I sat in my car, replaying the conversation over and over. Our life, our love, everything we had built together. It was all gone in an instant. I cried for what we had and for what could have been. The future we had imagined together had disintegrated. For 2 days, I shut myself off from the world, ignoring calls and messages. When I finally turned my phone back on, I saw hundreds of messages from her and her sisters. She had returned home, desperate to talk. My children had also called, worried about me after hearing from their mother. I finally spoke to them, explaining what had happened. They were shocked and angry, but I reminded them that she was still their mother and their children's grandmother. Her betrayal of me did not change her love for them. I left the house before she returned, leaving a note instructing her to pack her things and stay with her mother. I also texted her that we were getting a divorce and I didn't want to hear from her again. I told her I didn't care about the details or excuses. The pain was too immense. But the truth was even worse than what she initially confessed. After speaking to my sister-in-law, I learned that my wife had lied about key details. The man she slept with wasn't a stranger. They were customers of our business, and she had planned to meet them. Her sisters hadn't known, which was why they tagged along, forcing the couple to pretend they were strangers. My wife admitted to her sister that this was premeditated. She wasn't drunk beyond reason, as she had claimed. She wanted to explore a fantasy and had no intention of ever telling me. She blamed her actions on our revitalized sex life, claiming it made her curious about what she had missed during our dead bedroom years. She said she needed validation from someone else, as she now saw me as the attractive one in the relationship. She had been insecure, jealous even, and acted on that insecurity in the worst way possible. I'm meeting with her this afternoon. She says she's desperate to explain, to beg for another chance. But I've already made my decision. She didn't just betray me. She destroyed the trust and love we spent 33 years building. Her actions have consequences, and while she might regret what she did, it doesn't change the fact that she chose to do it. Everyone involved will feel the repercussions of her decision, but I know one thing for sure. I can't stay married to her. After 33 years of marriage, my life changed in ways I never anticipated. My wife's infidelity shattered the foundation we had built together, but her betrayal also became the catalyst for a new chapter in my life. She was caught cheating with a couple, a fantasy she pursued despite knowing the risks. When confronted, her confession was filled with tears and excuses, but none of it could undo the damage. It wasn't just the act of cheating. It was the planning, the lies, and the utter disregard for the bond we shared that destroyed everything. In those first few days, I felt every emotion possible: anger, heartbreak, disgust, and a profound sense of loss. But one feeling stood out above all: clarity. The woman I loved, the one I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, was gone. The memories we created were now just that, memories, untouchable by the ugliness of her actions. It was then that I decided to move forward, to leave the wreckage of our marriage behind and build a new life for myself. Our separation was swift. I sold our business, put the house on the market, and began disentangling our lives. She begged for forgiveness, promising she would change, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The trust and respect I once had for her were irreparably broken. I told her I would never touch her again, and I meant it. She had made her choice, and now I was making mine. Despite her delusions that time would heal, and I'd eventually take her back, I remained resolute. I told her she was free to live her life as she pleased, but my life no longer included her. It was liberating to finally reclaim control. My children, now adults with families of their own, supported my decision wholeheartedly. They too struggled to reconcile the mother they loved with the choices she had made, but we worked together to maintain our family bonds. In the months that followed, I found a surprising sense of peace. The sale of our shared assets gave me the freedom to start fresh. I purchased 2 small homes near my grandchildren, one for me and one as a rental for income, and took on a part-time job with an old business competitor. The change of pace allowed me to focus on myself and explore what life had to offer. I even took a solo motorcycle trip, stopping wherever I pleased, meeting new people, and rediscovering the joy of simply being alive. To my surprise, I began attracting attention from women. While I wasn't looking for anything serious at first, those casual connections helped me heal in ways I didn't expect. Eventually, I met Deb. She was kind, understanding, and supportive. Everything I didn't know I needed. Our relationship grew naturally, and 5 months ago, I proposed. My kids adore her, and for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful about the future. As for my ex-wife, her life took a different path. She spiraled into depression, unable to cope with the consequences of her actions. My daughter, who maintained contact with her, often told me how lost and regretful she had become. Then one evening, my daughter came to me in tears and shared devastating news. Her mother had overdosed on sleeping pills and passed away. The news hit me harder than I expected. While I had no love left for the woman she became, I mourned the loss of the person she used to be, the wife I once adored, the mother of my children. I felt a mix of sadness, guilt, and even relief. It was a strange and unsettling combination of emotions, but I allowed myself to feel them all. At the funeral, her family treated me and Deb with nothing but kindness, which helped ease some of the tension. Now, as I reflect on the past, I can't help but think about what might have been if she had made different choices. But I refuse to dwell on the what-ifs. Life is too precious to waste on regret. I built a life filled with love, purpose, and happiness, and I won't let her actions define my future. To anyone going through something similar, know this: there is light at the end of the tunnel. Prioritize your peace. Set firm boundaries, and don't let the actions of others dictate your worth. Healing takes time, but it's worth the effort. Life moves on, and when you focus on yourself, you'll find joy again.